A monster winter storm is unleashing right now, and what it's doing is unlike anything we've seen this season. 60-mile-per-hour winds are about to create ground blizzards across the Midwest, even where no new snow is falling. Zero visibility. Instant whiteouts. And this is just the beginning of a weather nightmare that will grip half the country for the next 7 days. In exactly 30 seconds, I'm revealing which cities are about to face -50-degree wind chills, and why the next 48 hours could be the most dangerous travel period of the entire winter. Don't even think about getting in your car until you hear this. Right this second, a rapidly intensifying low-pressure system is cranking up over the northern plains. 5 to 10 inches of snow is already guaranteed from the Dakotas through Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Great Lakes, and into the Northeast. But here's what nobody's prepared for. The real killer isn't the snow. It's what comes after. An Arctic blast so severe that temperatures will plunge 50 degrees below average in some locations, -30 actual temperatures. Frostbite in 5 minutes. This is life or death cold, and it arrives Thursday. But wait, because there's a third threat that's even more insidious. Ground blizzards. Let me explain why this should terrify anyone in Iowa, Illinois, or northern Missouri. You already have snow on the ground from previous storms. Wednesday morning, winds are going to ramp up to 50 to 70 miles per hour. That existing snow gets picked up and thrown into the air. Suddenly, you can't see anything. Roads you've driven 1,000 times become death traps. No new snow falling, but blizzard conditions anyway. This catches people off guard every single time. Stick with me until the 5-minute mark because I'm breaking down the exact timeline of when this hits your city, hour by hour, and the one mistake that could cost you your life. But first, let me show you what's happening right now. Freezing rain is falling across North Dakota and northern South Dakota as we speak. A band of snow showers is moving across the Great Lakes this morning. By late morning into early afternoon, that low-pressure system over the northern plains rapidly intensifies. Moderate to heavy snow becomes a major concern across Minnesota and North Dakota by early afternoon. We're talking about snowfall rates hitting 3 inches per hour. Think about that. 3 inches every 60 minutes. Roads disappear that fast. Around 4 to 5 p.m. today, southeastern Minnesota near Owatonna gets hit with freezing rain. Minneapolis sees freezing rain too. That creates slick spots on roadways right during rush hour. If you're in Minneapolis and you think you're dodging this storm, think again. During evening rush hour, heavy snow ramps up across Duluth. Minneapolis mostly sees freezing rain, but there might be a brief transition to snow right around 5 p.m. If you're north of the city, your chances are much higher. By 6 p.m., light snowfall makes its way into Wausau. By 7 to 8 p.m., that snow basically drapes all of Wisconsin. Milwaukee, Green Bay, all of northern Wisconsin. Heavy snowfall continues through the night with those 3-inch-per-hour rates. And here's a detail that's going to cause problems. That pink area extending from Minneapolis back into the Illinois-Wisconsin border. That's freezing rain accumulating into ice. A few locations could see 1/20th to 1/10th of an inch of ice. That causes slick spots and very isolated power outages late tonight. Overnight hours, snow mostly happens across northern Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and almost all of Michigan. Light to moderate snowfall continues overnight. A little bit of light snow continues near Minneapolis too. So if you don't see snow in Minneapolis during the afternoon, there's a slightly better chance as we go into overnight hours. But it's going to be quick hitting and won't accumulate much more than 1 to maybe 2 inches at most. Wednesday morning, that snow moves across the Great Lakes toward Ontario. Light to moderate snowfall hits all across the Northeast on Wednesday. But here's the thing, this isn't the big story for the Northeast. This only adds a few inches, maybe 2 to 4 inches for most areas. The real story is what happens after Wednesday. Late Wednesday and Thursday, this cranks into a massive lake effect snow event. Northwestern Michigan and Watertown, New York, are the 2 key areas where significant snow becomes a possibility. All of it coming from lake effect. By late Thursday into early Friday, that lake effect snow continues through Friday morning in those 2 areas. But we also have more snow making its way across the Rockies into the central and northern plains. This could make a run at going into the Midwest and Ohio Valley on Friday as a new winter weather event. Now, here's your first reward point at exactly 3 minutes 20 seconds. Total snowfall accumulation numbers. We're expecting widespread 5 to 10 inches anywhere in the purple zone. That goes from northern Minnesota back into northern Michigan. This includes Green Bay and Wausau in Wisconsin. Minneapolis is very interesting. You could easily see only a coating to almost nothing, but you do have a chance of seeing around 2 to 3 inches if you're on the northern side of Minneapolis, mostly the suburbs just north of the city. Milwaukee, only expecting a few inches, nothing crazy. Chicago, not expecting much snowfall at all. But late Wednesday and Thursday, snowfall accumulation numbers increase in northwestern Michigan as lake effect kicks in. We're likely seeing at least around a foot when this is all said and done. Near Lake Erie, likely around 6 to 12 inches. In the northeast, snowfall totals could be really crazy. Near Watertown, New York, with those lake effect snow bands, we could see upwards of 12 to 18 inches. Very significant snow is on the way for many. Another concern with this winter storm, ice. Not expecting a major ice storm, but get ready for at least a glazing of ice in parts of central Michigan, northern Illinois, back into southern Wisconsin, even through areas like North Dakota. If you're in North Dakota this morning, that's actually where 1/10 of an inch of ice is much more likely. The further south and east you go, the less ice happens. But here's the real nightmare scenario, and this is what I need you to understand. It's going to be very windy across the Midwest going into tonight and tomorrow morning. One of the biggest reasons this is concerning, we already have a lot of snow on the ground outside of where we're seeing new snow tonight. If you're in Iowa, Illinois, northern Missouri, even Nebraska, where there's still snow actively on the ground, Wednesday morning could be extremely hazardous on the roadways. We could have blizzard-like conditions all across Iowa, with wind gusts widespread between 50 to 70 miles per hour. This is very dangerous. This happens every single winter, but it's not talked about enough. So I want to give you a heads up. In the Midwest, where there's snow on the ground, we could have blizzard conditions, even if it's not snowing. This means near-zero visibility is a very strong possibility on Wednesday. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like. You're driving on Interstate 80 in Iowa Wednesday morning. The sun is out, no snow falling. Looks like a normal winter day. Then suddenly, a gust of wind hits. The snow that's been sitting on that field next to the highway gets picked up. Within seconds, you can't see the car in front of you. You can't see the road. You can't see anything. Your instinct is to hit the brakes. That's when you lose control. That's when multi-car pileups happen. That's when people die. Ground blizzards are sneaky killers. They come out of nowhere. 1 second you have visibility, the next second you're in a whiteout. And because there's no new snow falling, people don't take warnings seriously. They think they can make the trip. They can't. If you're in Iowa, Illinois, or northern Missouri on Wednesday morning and there's any wind at all, stay home. I'm not exaggerating. Stay home. Now, at the 5-minute mark, I promised you the Arctic blast timeline, and here it is. This is what's going to change everything over the next 7 days. The jet stream is the key to understanding this. Right now, we have a big dip in the jet stream across the Midwest. That's where the storm is forming right now, bringing all this snow today. By tomorrow and Thursday, this jet stream gets even more intense. It's pulling a lot of energy out of Canada and transporting it down into the Midwest, the northern plains, even down into the southeast by Thursday and Friday. This triggers a major Arctic blast. Friday and Saturday will easily be the coldest days of this entire week. Extreme cold comes into play, where jet stream winds are strongest. That's primarily the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and across the Northeast on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. By Monday and Tuesday of next week, the jet stream weakens a bit. Cold air is still definitely there, especially with northwesterly flow in place, but it's not nearly as cold by Monday and Tuesday. If you're along the East Coast, expect this weather to stay pretty cold at least through Tuesday. Middle and end of next week, things get more uncertain. Let's talk about exactly how cold it's going to get. We're beginning with temperature anomalies, which is basically the difference from average. Thursday morning, we have pretty cold air across Wisconsin and Minnesota. Many areas around 20 to 30 degrees below average. This is basically the appetizer to the Arctic blast we're seeing this weekend for much of the country. Notice on the West Coast, very warm temperatures right now, all above average in the Rockies, and along the West Coast. By Friday and Saturday, that doesn't change much because Arctic air is building across the northern plains and Canada. This unleashes across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast on Saturday and Sunday, while warm temperatures continue across the South and Southwest. Saturday and Sunday, that's when the coldest weather arrives. I think Sunday morning will be the coldest morning of the entire week, and probably of the entire month. Honestly, This is going to be pretty crazy. By Sunday morning, we have a widespread area from central Illinois all the way back up into Canada, where temperatures will be as much as 40 to 45 degrees below average, with sub-zero temperatures all in play. By Monday and Tuesday, all that cold air sinks south. It reaches areas like Alabama and Mississippi. But notice it's not nearly as intense, about 10 degrees below average in the deep south. Eventually, by Tuesday and Wednesday, all that cold air sits across the East Coast and Great Lakes before moving out by Thursday and Friday. Right before Christmas, we could be talking about well above average temperatures across the Great Plains and all along the West Coast. But if you're in the Northeast, there's really not going to be any end in sight to the frigid weather happening right now. This weather pattern change is bringing extremely dangerous cold to the Midwest and Northern Plains. Saturday morning, low temperatures are forecasted anywhere from 0 to minus 30 degrees across areas like Minnesota, North Dakota, and almost all of Wisconsin. The freezing line will be all the way down into the deep south. Sunday morning, it doesn't get much better. In fact, many areas Saturday afternoon might not even make it out of the negative temperatures. That's really crazy for this time of year. December is not always this cold across the Northern Plains and Midwest. This has been a very aggressive start to winter compared to previous years. Sunday morning, we're talking widespread temperatures anywhere from 0 to minus 25 degrees, anywhere from Fargo all the way back down toward Milwaukee. Monday and Tuesday, things gradually start to improve. But again, there's not going to be any end in sight to the sub-zero temperatures until at least around December 17th if you're in the Midwest. Get ready for some very cold weather ahead. The wind chills, which are the feel-like temperatures, will be a lot worse in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northern Plains. Widespread areas sub-zero for your feel-like temperatures. This is factoring in wind. Sunday morning is not going to be much different. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a few areas near minus 50 for feel-like temperatures Saturday morning, especially in northern Minnesota. Let me be very clear about what minus 50 wind chill means. You cannot be outside, period. 5 minutes of exposure and you have frostbite. 10 minutes and you could lose fingers or toes. 15 minutes and you're looking at hypothermia. This is not cold like you wear an extra jacket. This is cold that will kill you if you're not careful. If you're in the Midwest or Northern Plains this weekend, here's what you need to do right now. Check your heating system. Make sure it's working properly. Stock up on food and water in case you lose power. Have backup heating sources like a fireplace or generator. Never use a generator inside your home. Carbon monoxide kills. Bring your pets inside. Check on elderly neighbors. Make sure your car has an emergency kit with blankets, food, water, and a flashlight. And please, do not travel unless absolutely necessary. If you must drive, tell someone where you're going and when you expect to arrive. Keep your gas tank at least half full. Dress in layers before you even get in the car. If you break down in minus 20-degree weather, you could be in serious trouble within an hour. These aren't scare tactics. This is reality. Now, here's your second reward point. Beyond this winter storm, we're going to see more snowfall Thursday and Friday. More energy comes over the northern Rockies. That's all from an atmospheric river event in the Pacific Northwest that's already dumping a lot of rain and snow. That energy makes its way into the northern plains on Thursday, but there's going to be a lot of dry and sinking air across the Midwest and northern plains. So I don't think we're seeing a full-blown winter storm form here. But there will be some light snowfall Thursday into Friday, making its way into the Ohio Valley. Could reach around 1 to 3 inches in some spots. By late Friday and Saturday, a little more snow tries to shoot into the northern plains and Midwest. That'll be mostly for Iowa, Minnesota, perhaps even near Chicago, Indiana, Ohio Saturday afternoon. Overall, not expecting much. Maybe 1 to 3 inches out of that as well. Sunday and Monday of next week, things get more uncertain. But as the Arctic blast fills in, we're likely seeing a large high-pressure system form. With all these pressure changes happening over the next several days, you could experience headaches on Sunday and Monday with how strong the high-pressure system will be. Beyond this, things get a lot more uncertain. As of right now, just before Christmas, I'm not eyeing any major winter storms. However, that can always change. Let me talk about the pattern for a moment because this is important for understanding what's coming. We have a very amplified jet stream right now. That big dip over the Midwest is what's pulling all this Arctic air down. But notice that big ridge over the west. That's keeping warm air locked in place over the Pacific and the western U.S. This pattern is not going anywhere fast. The jet stream is locked in this configuration. What does that mean for you? If you're in the Midwest, Great Lakes, or Northeast, you're stuck in the freezer for at least another week, probably longer. If you're in the South or Southwest, you're going to see near normal to above normal temperatures. The West Coast stays warm and dry, which is good for some but increases fire danger with the dry air. This is a classic winter pattern. Arctic air spilling south out of Canada, warm air building over the west, and the battleground right in the middle where all the storms happen. We're going to continue seeing clipper systems race across the northern tier. These are fast-moving storms that don't produce massive snow amounts, but they keep the cold air locked in place. Each one reinforces the pattern. Each one brings another shot of cold. The big question everyone wants answered: when does this pattern break? When do we get back to something more normal? The honest answer is we don't know exactly. Long-range models are hinting at a possible pattern change the week before Christmas. That big ridge over the west might start to break down. The trough over the east might lift north. If that happens, we could see a warmer period for the eastern U.S. heading into the holidays. But here's the catch. When patterns transition, that's often when we get our biggest events. So while you might get a break from the relentless cold, you might also see a major winter storm. It's too early to say for sure, but it's something to watch. Pattern changes create opportunities for big storms. The clash between cold and warm air masses produces the most intense weather. Let me give you some specific city forecasts because I know that's what you really want. Minneapolis, you're looking at highs in the teens this weekend, lows well below zero, wind chills in the -30 to -40 range. Multiple rounds of snow, probably accumulating to over a foot when you add it all up. Travel is going to be difficult to impossible at times. Saturday and Sunday, just stay inside. There's no reason to be out in that cold. Fargo, you're in an even worse situation. Actual temperatures Saturday and Sunday morning could hit -20 to -30. Wind chills approaching -50. This is dangerous, life-threatening cold. Make sure your heating system is working. Have backup plans. Check on neighbors. Bring pets inside. This is not a joke. Chicago, you're getting clipped by these systems, but not seeing the heaviest snow. Expect a few inches total over the next week, but the real story is the cold. Highs in the 20s, lows around 10. Wind chills making it feel like 0 or below. The lakefront is going to be particularly brutal with the wind coming off Lake Michigan. Milwaukee, similar to Chicago. A few inches of snow here and there, but nothing major. The cold is the story. Bundle up, layer up, limit time outside. Detroit, you're seeing several inches of snow over the next week, with the heaviest coming Wednesday and Thursday from lake effect. Temperatures well below freezing, wind chills making it feel even colder. Cleveland and Buffalo, welcome to Lake Effect Central. When the winds come off Lake Erie, you can measure snow in feet, not inches. The southern and eastern suburbs are going to get hammered. If you live in the snow belt, stock up on supplies now. You might be snowed in for a day or two. And with the cold air coming behind this, those snow piles aren't going anywhere. Grand Rapids, you're in the lake effect zone too. Western Michigan is going to see significant snow from Lake Michigan. Could be a foot or more in some spots by the end of the week. Travel is going to be treacherous, whiteout conditions at times, and then the cold settles in behind it. Green Bay, Wausau, Duluth, you're all in the bullseye for the initial storm. 5 to 10 inches today and tonight. Heavy snowfall rates at times. Then the cold arrives. Sub-zero temperatures for multiple days. Wind chills that are dangerous. This is the kind of weather that tests your winter survival skills. Make sure you're prepared. Pittsburgh and Columbus, you're on the southern edge of the main action. A few inches of snow here and there from the various systems, but you're not seeing the huge totals. The cold is still a factor though, well below average temperatures for the next week. And if any of these systems trend farther south, you could see more snow than currently expected. Boston and New York, you're in a weird spot. You'll see some snow from these clippers, but the big question is whether any of them can transfer enough energy to the coast to give you a significant storm. Right now, looks like several light to moderate snow events, but nothing major. Temperatures will be cold, but not as brutal as areas farther west. Still, well below average for this time of year. Philadelphia, D.C., Baltimore, similar story. You're on the edge of these systems. You might see a little snow here and there, but confidence is low on amounts. The cold is more certain. Highs in the 30s, lows in the 20s, breezy conditions making it feel colder. And watch for any energy that tries to phase along the coast. That could change the forecast quickly. Atlanta, Charlotte, you're staying mostly dry and seasonally cool. You might see some clouds and a few showers, but the main action stays north. By this weekend, you might actually see some sunshine and temperatures in the 50s. Enjoy it while it lasts. The cold air eventually makes it to you early next week, but it's much less intense by the time it arrives. Now, let me address something important: mental health during extreme weather events. When you're stuck inside for days, when travel is impossible, when the weather is dangerous, it takes a toll on your mental well-being. Cabin fever is real. Seasonal depression is real. If you're feeling down or anxious, reach out to someone. Call a friend. Video chat with family. Stay connected even when you're physically isolated. And if you're someone who works outside, construction workers, utility workers, delivery drivers, please be extra careful. Your employers should be providing adequate breaks in warm environments. You should be rotating shifts to limit exposure. You should have proper cold weather gear. Don't be a hero. If you start shivering uncontrollably, if you feel confused or disoriented, if your speech becomes slurred, those are signs of hypothermia. Get inside immediately. Vehicle safety is critical right now. Before you drive anywhere in the next week, make sure your car is ready. Check antifreeze levels. Make sure your battery is in good condition. Cold kills batteries. Check tire pressure and tread. Keep your gas tank at least half full. Pack an emergency kit. Blankets, extra clothes, food, water, flashlight, phone charger. If you break down in sub-zero weather, you could be in serious trouble within an hour. When you're driving in snow, slow down. Really slow down. The speed limit is for ideal conditions. These are not ideal conditions. Increase your following distance to at least 8 to 10 seconds. Don't use cruise control. Accelerate and brake gently. If you start to skid, don't slam on the brakes. Steer into the skid and ease off the gas. Black ice is invisible. It usually forms on bridges, overpasses, and shaded areas. If the road looks wet, assume it's ice. Ground blizzards are a special hazard I keep coming back to because people don't understand how dangerous they are. Let me explain the physics. When you have strong winds blowing over snow-covered ground, that snow gets picked up. It doesn't take much. 10 to 15 mile-per-hour winds can start moving light, fluffy snow. At 30 to 40 miles per hour, you get significant snow transport. At 50 to 70 miles per hour, which is what we're expecting Wednesday, you get full-blown blizzard conditions. The snow doesn't fall from the sky. It comes at you horizontally. It fills the air from ground level up to maybe 6 or 8 feet. Your car disappears in it. The road disappears. Other vehicles disappear. It's like driving in a cloud, except it's happening at ground level and changing every second as the wind shifts. You can't outrun it. You can't see through it. Your only option is to stop and wait it out. But if you're on the highway, stopping is dangerous too. Other drivers might not see you in time. This is why ground blizzards cause so many accidents. People don't expect them. They see clear skies and think conditions are fine. Then boom, instant whiteout, multi-car pileups, people trapped in their vehicles. Emergency responders can't even get to the scene because visibility is 0 for them too. If there's any possibility of ground blizzards in your area, just don't drive. It's not worth it. Now, let's talk about what happens after this Arctic blast. The pattern doesn't just snap back to normal. Cold air masses this intense take time to modify and move out. Even after the core of the Arctic air pushes south and east, we're left with a northwesterly flow pattern. That keeps bringing reinforcing shots of cold air, not as intense as the initial blast, but still well below average. The Midwest and Great Lakes could be stuck in below-average temperatures through the end of December. The Northeast might actually see the cold linger even longer. Once you get that cold air locked in over New England, it's stubborn. The ocean is cold this time of year, so there's no maritime influence to moderate temperatures. You could be looking at below-average temperatures all the way through New Year's. If you're planning holiday travel, factor this in. Delays are likely. Cancellations are possible. Have backup plans. One interesting aspect of this pattern: the potential for coastal storms. When you have very cold air locked over the interior, northeast, and a storm system tries to develop along the coast, that's when you get the ingredients for big nor'easters. We're not seeing that right now because the energy is racing through too fast. But if the pattern slows down at all, if we get any kind of blocking to the north, watch out. A major coastal storm becomes possible. The South is going to feel this cold too, just not as intensely. By Monday and Tuesday of next week, the cold air spreads into Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. You're looking at temperatures 10 to 15 degrees below average. That means highs in the 30s and 40s instead of the 50s and 60s, lows in the 20s in many areas. For those not used to this kind of cold, it feels brutal. Make sure outdoor plants are protected. Let faucets drip to prevent frozen pipes. Cover outdoor faucets. The West stays warm and dry, which sounds great until you realize what that means for fire danger. Low humidity, warm temperatures, and often gusty winds create critical fire weather conditions. If you're in California, Arizona, New Mexico, be very careful with any outdoor burning. One spark can turn into a wildfire in these conditions, and with the jet stream pattern locked in place, there's no rain in sight for the Southwest. Let me give you a 7-day outlook starting today. Today through tonight, major winter storm impacts the Midwest and Great Lakes. Heavy snow, freezing rain, difficult travel. Wednesday, ground blizzards across Iowa, Illinois, northern Missouri. Stay off the roads if possible. Thursday, Arctic air starts arriving. Lake effect snow ramps up. Friday and Saturday, the coldest air of the season settles in. Sub-zero temperatures widespread in the Midwest and northern plains. Sunday, still brutally cold but slowly moderating. Monday and Tuesday, cold air spreads south and east. The Midwest starts to recover slightly. Beyond that, the pattern stays cold for the eastern half of the country, but less extreme. More clipper systems are possible. Lake effect snow continues. The West stays warm, and we watch for any signs of a pattern change that could bring a major storm around Christmas. It's too early to make specific predictions, but the ingredients are there. Stay tuned. Here's your third and final reward point. What to watch for in the coming days. First, watch for any shifts in the storm track today and tonight. If the low-pressure system tracks slightly farther south, more areas see heavy snow. If it tracks north, less snow but more ice. Second, watch wind forecasts for Wednesday. If winds end up stronger than expected, ground blizzard conditions worsen. Third, watch temperature forecasts for the weekend. Models can be off by several degrees with Arctic air masses. If it ends up colder than forecast, wind chills become even more dangerous. Fourth, watch for any energy trying to develop along the East Coast next week. If a coastal storm develops, snow forecasts for the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast change dramatically. Fifth, watch the long-range pattern. Any hints of blocking developing to the north could mean a significant storm before Christmas. These are the things that will determine how the next 2 weeks play out. Now, let me leave you with this. The next 7 days are going to test a lot of people. Dangerous travel conditions. Life-threatening cold. Power outage risks. But if you're prepared, if you're smart, if you're careful, you'll make it through. The weather doesn't care if you're ready. It's coming either way. But you have the power to prepare. You have the power to make good decisions. You have the power to keep yourself and your loved ones safe. Don't take unnecessary risks. Don't underestimate the cold. Don't drive in ground blizzard conditions. And please, check on vulnerable people in your community. The elderly, people living alone, people without adequate heating. A simple phone call or welfare check could save a life. We're all in this together. Community matters, especially during extreme weather. In the next video, I'm diving deep into the Christmas forecast. White Christmas chances for major cities, what travelers need to know, and whether that pattern change I mentioned actually happens. Plus, I'm going to talk about a really interesting setup developing in the stratosphere that could have major implications for January and February. This is the kind of stuff that determines whether we get a snowy second half of winter or a dud. You won't want to miss it. Stay safe, stay warm, and stay informed. The weather is about to get very serious, and you need to be ready. Check forecasts daily. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. Be prepared before you need to be. And remember, better to cancel plans than to become a statistic. Your life is worth more than any meeting or event. Take care of yourself and each other. This is one winter storm system you don't want to take lightly.